New gun announcements just dropped, and man, some of these builds are straight up wild. We're talking redesigned frames, smarter triggers, and rifles that feel like they're from next year. I'm Luke from Line 45, and we're diving into the newest guns just revealed for 2025. And trust me, you would really love having any of these bad boys. Before we dive in, do me a solid. Smash that subscribe, tap the bell, hit all the dang buttons down there. You don't gotta, but it keeps this train rolling and lets me crank out more of this wild gun talk for you all. Alright, enough of that. Let's get back to it. Ruger Marlin Trapper Model 1894 inches 10mm auto. Holy crap, Ruger finally shipped a lever gun that runs 10mm, and yeah, this one actually checks boxes most of us care about. The Marlin Trapper Model 1894 inches 10mm auto comes with a 17-inch barrel, a 10-round tubular magazine, and a black laminated stock that keeps the balance short and usable in the brush. The barrel is matte stainless, and some SKUs include a threaded muzzle for a brake or suppressor where legal, and the iron sights are Skinner style, with a peep rear and blade front for fast target acquisition. I ran the spec sheet hard, and what stands out is feed geometry tailored for true 10mm ammo, plus an explicit note that 40 Smith & Wesson cartridges are not compatible. Ruger says the action reliably chambers a wide range of 10mm factory loads, and Hornady immediately announced a Lever Evolution 10mm load tuned for lever guns. Expect velocity gains over pistol-length barrels in the ballpark of 200 to 300 feet per second, depending on load, which turns the 10mm into a legit short-range brush round or light game option. MSRP is stamped at $1,600, but retail will float lower or higher depending on demand, so shop around. I want to test how hot hunting loads behave through the Trapper, and whether recoil and lever manipulation stay friendly for follow-up shots. Because if that checks out, this could be a practical and fun addition to a safe. Stay tuned for accuracy, chrono, and feeding tests soon. Smith & Wesson 1854 Stealth Hunter Lever Gun in 3030. I didn't expect Smith & Wesson to drop a Stealth Hunter in 3030, but here we are, and this one feels built for serious work. The 1854 Stealth Hunter pairs a short 16.5-inch 410 stainless barrel and a compact chassis with M-lock slots, a 5-round magazine, and an extended optics rail that actually makes sense for a lever gun. From a spec standpoint, the rifle tips the scales at around 6.95 pounds, has a 1-in-1-0 twist, 5 divided by 8 by 2 4 muzzle threads, an XS rear ghost ring sight, and a HIVIS fiber optic front, plus a forged 416 stainless receiver and a crossbolt safety. Those numbers jive with Smith & Wesson's listing and the early hands-on reviews I checked. This is a compact, modernized lever that can take real hunting loads without being a pain to carry. What I want to know on the range is how the 3030's recoil profile works with the short barrel, how accuracy holds past 150 yards, and whether follow-up shots stay quick with that large loop lever. If Smith & Wesson's MSRP of about $1,499 is accurate, this could be a solid mid-priced option for woods, work, or ranch protection, but I'll reserve final judgment until I run chrono, accuracy, and feeding tests. MSRP sits at $1,499, and that matches the Stealth Hunter's placement in Smith & Wesson's lineup. Street pricing will vary, but for the features, this is a good value. Expect solid short-range performance for hunting and defense. I'll post chrono and accuracy data after testing, naturally. Springfield Armory Hellcat 380 ACP Micro Compact. Springfield finally shoved the Hellcat into 380. And yeah, this one is engineered for people who want a tiny size with actual capacity and usable sights. It keeps the Hellcat's 3-inch barrel and optics-ready slide while trimming recoil for folks who prefer softer-shooting carry guns. On paper, the Hellcat OSP 380 ships with an 1.1+1 flush magazine and a 1.3+1 extended mag, weighs about 16.1 ounces empty, and measures roughly 6 inches overall, which makes it one of the highest capacity micro-compacts in its class. I ran through specs, press notes, and early hands-on takes, and the common themes are the tritium U-dot sights, the OEM inclusion of both mags, and Springfield's optics footprint for micro red dots, all while keeping a sub-1 7-ounce feel that actually helps with recoil management. What I want to test in real life is how the 380 loads group at defensive distances, whether the trigger and short sight radius produce fast hits under stress, and how follow-up shots compare to the 9mm Hellcat when you factor in recoil and controllability. Street price should land near mid-600s, but shop tight because demand will move numbers. For me, this fills a niche. People who need deep concealment or weaker hand shooters who still want double-digit capacity. The 380 offers softer recoil than the 9mm, and combined with Springfield's double-stack mags, you get capacity without a bulky footprint. I'll post chrono and accuracy data next, so stay tuned. This one's gonna surprise. Savage RXR 22. I picked up the Savage RXR 22, and what surprised me first was how light and usable it feels straight out of the box. This is a semi-auto 22 LR meant for plinking, small game, and training, but Savage actually built it to be a platform you can tinker with. Modular rails, a threaded 1x2x2 8 muzzle, and compatibility with common 10/22 pattern rotary mags make this one easy to customize. On specs, the RXR 22 checks practical boxes: 16.5-inch precision button, rifled barrel, 10+1 capacity using a rotary Ruger-style mag, an empty weight right around 4.6 pounds, and a polymer receiver with an integrated Picatinny top rail for optics. The rifle includes a recessed target crown on the barrel, a last-round bolt hold open, and a blued or gunmetal finish option depending on SKU. MSRP sits at about $300, which puts this in reach for most shooters without cutting corners on essential features. I want to run a full battery of tests before I crown anything. But the plan is simple. Chrono to see how rimfire velocity stacks up from the 16.5-inch barrel, accuracy strings at 50 and 100 yards with factory and match ammo, and a 500-round reliability torture to check feeding with different rotary mags. If those checks hold, this is the kind of affordable, modular rimfire that earns a permanent spot for range days and a lot of first-time shooters learning fundamentals. Taurus GX 4-Strike Bravo. Taurus went full PDW with the GX 4-Strike Bravo, and yeah, I had to see how the little shooter handles when you turn it into a brace-ready package. From the way it shoulders to the extra control you get with the brace, my first impression was that Taurus leaned hard into practicality instead of fluff. The Strike Bravo builds on the GX4 carry footprint with a 3.7-inch threaded barrel, optics-ready TORO. Slide, reversible charging handle, and a full Picatinny rail for lights or lasers. It ships with 2 GX4 magazines in either 15 or restricted 10-round counts, and the unit's brace version stretches to an overall length of 18.38 inches and weighs about 34.9 ounces unloaded, while the braceless pistol drops to roughly 9.62 inches and 24.1 ounces. On the range, I want to test how the reversible charging handle affects one-handed manipulations, whether the longer sight radius with the brace actually speeds up hits, and how reliable feeding is with higher pressure 115 to 124 grain loads through the threaded barrel. Early hands-on pieces say the GX4 platform feeds well, and the Strike Industries brace gives PDW-style control without turning you into a tax nightmare. Price matters for this class. Taurus lists the non-braced models in the low 600s and the braced variants around the high 700s MSRP, which undercuts a lot of boutique personal defense weapon builds while keeping parts compatibility with existing GX4 mags and barrels. For me, this is a smart play for folks who want Micro 9 ergonomics with PDW control on a budget, and I'll follow up with chrono, accuracy, and manipulation footage once I run it hard. CZ-P10C ported, optics ready compensated. The CZ-P10C ported slipped into my hands and immediately felt like a compact that wants to run faster than its size suggests. That single large top port and the noticeably heavier cold hammer forged barrel take muzzle flip out of the equation and give the slide an aggressive look that actually helps line up follow-ups. I dug into the release notes and hands-on coverage, and the common thread is the same. Optics, ready slide, P9, nocturne-style sights, and a barrel profile about 10% heavier than the standard P10C. On paper, this model keeps the P10C footprint but ups the stability. 4.02-inch barrel, 15+1 capacity, roughly 26 ounces unloaded, and a fiber-reinforced polymer frame with extended serrations and ambidextrous controls. Independent hands-on pieces report a trigger break in the low to mid 5-pound range, a short tactile reset, and CZ's cold hammer forged barrel backed by their lifetime warranty. Early range reports also show rock-solid reliability across several hundred rounds in mixed ammo testing. Here's what I'm going to do with one before I tell you to buy it. Chrono it to measure any real velocity and recoil changes from the standard P10C, run accuracy strings with the factory P9 Nocturne irons and with a micro red dot, then hammer it for at least 1,000 rounds to validate feeding and heat endurance. If street pricing lands near CZ's expected tier, this ported P10C could be the best budget-compensated compact for shooters who want faster follow-ups without losing everyday carry practicality. Staccato Compact HDC 3.6. Staccato shrunk the HD into a compact package, and the C3.6 actually turns heads for concealed carry shooters who want duty-grade performance in a smaller frame. I handled one at a range demo, and the first thing I noticed was how balanced it feels despite the 3.6-inch bull barrel and aluminum frame. Specs matter here. The C3. 6 ships in 9mm with a 3.6-inch DLC-coated bull barrel, uses Glock 19 pattern magazines at 1.5+1 capacity, accepts host optics while keeping a rear sight in place, and weighs about 24 ounces unloaded. The frame is 7,075 aluminum with a polymer grip module. The trigger runs around a crisp 4 to 4.5 pounds according to initial reports, and the slide features aggressive serrations for manipulation. From my time on the trigger, the flat wire recoil system and short barrel make the pistol surprisingly controllable for follow-ups. Groups were tight at 15 yards in my brief run, and mounting a red dot felt natural because Staccato's host keeps the rear sight forward of the optic. Feeding was flawless on everything from factory ball to higher pressure duty loads during the demo. Price and value are obvious talking points. Staccato lists MSRP starting around $22.90 depending on configuration, which puts this in premium compact territory, but you gain a duty-grade 2011 that uses common magazines and carries like a compact. I'll drop full range footage, chrono numbers, and a hard recommendation after extended testing. Worth a demo if you want elite carry performance today.